Hey guys, Jen here. Okay, so recently I've been reading by accident a ton of vampire books. But I just finished a series and I just started a series, so before I get any further, I kind of wanted to just, talk about them because they were really good. But yeah, okay, so the first one I want to talk about is called Darkness Before Dawn by J.A. London, and this is a trilogy, and the whole trilogy is out. So if you guys want to read something, start these because you can just go through the whole thing all at once. But yeah, I've started this trilogy a long time ago, and usually it's really rare for me to keep up with books because you love the first one so much and you read it, and then it's 7 months later or more, the next one comes out, and by then I read so many books I don't even remember anything about the book. That's what happened to me with Divergent. I loved that book so much, but then when Insurgent came out, I was like, I don't even remember anything at all. So I just never read it. But yeah, anyway, I kept up with this series as much as I could because I really liked it. It's about dystopian America. That's actually what most books are about nowadays, but the world gets taken over by vampires and they rule humans in the city, and they're this huge superior race. And the story is about this girl named Dawn Montgomery, and her parents are a delegate to the vampire ruler of their city, Murdoch Valentine, and they die mysteriously, and Murdoch specifically asked Dawn, their daughter, to become their next delegate, even though the position is usually given to older people. But she's basically in charge of representing the humans and dealing with Murdoch in terms of getting blood distributions, and if there are any deaths or murders or anything like that, she's in between him and all the other humans. And this guy is a huge monster, terrible guy. She has to get she goes through all these rules with etiquette, she has to dress in a corset and all that, and a carriage, and I don't know, that part's crazy, but that's the basic world of it. And it all changes when she meets, it all changes, but yeah, and Murdoch Valentine has a son named Victor Valentine, and you guys probably know where it goes from there. But that is the premise of the first book, and then from then on the series gets really, really, really good. It just improves. It doesn't fall flat or get boring or weird or crazy like Tiger's Quest. But no, it's a really, really good series, and I was so sad that it ended because I just finished the last book of the series. Just came out June 25th, and I read it in literally a day because it was really good. And Dawn's awesome, and Victor's awesome, and the world is really cool that they live in, and all the complexities with the human vampire relations and all that. So definitely check that series out because I really, really liked it, and it's definitely worth reading. And the whole thing is out, so you can just read it like that and have a fun 3 days, because I read these books in a day. They're not long. They're under 300 pages, but solid book. Anyways, the next book I want to talk about is The Immortal Rules by Julie Kagawa. And if you guys remember, the first book I ever reviewed on this waste of a channel was a book by her, The Iron King. And I loved that series. I read all her books. Anyway, but yeah, so she finally started a new series, and it's about vampires. And when I heard that, I was like, hell yeah, because I loved her other books. And she did not disappoint. I read this in one sitting. I stayed up till 5 a.m. I saw the sun come up. I heard the birds chirping. It was really horrible, actually, but so worth it because this was really amazing. First of all, it's a true vampire book. They're not romantic, and they're evil. They're really bad. And so that's something we don't really see. And also, it's not it's a human dealing with vampires and we're getting it from the human's point of view. The girl actually becomes a vampire, and we get to see the whole book as her as a vampire, which is awesome because she is kick-ass. But yeah, So let me just get with the setting of the story. Once again, it's dystopian America, and there are vampire lords that rule over each city, vampire princes. And in each city, there's an inner circle, which is the prince and his lesser vampires, and the outer circle, which is where the humans are. And beyond that is wasteland, which is where like houses are that have been abandoned, and where these things called rabbids run free. And it's a disease and a virus that has spread, and these things become like skeletal vampire zombie monsters, and they just roam killing things, and it spreads, the disease spreads to animals, and it makes anyone like a killer crazy. Like the girl gets attacked by a freaking deer in the beginning, like near death. So like there's that. Anyway, in exchange for keeping these humans safe, the vampires require that they give them their blood. So all the humans are registered in the system. Well, not all. There's two. You can either be registered in the system and give your blood, and you're like, you have a tattoo saying like property of whatever vampire lord you're under, or you can go as unregistered and forego your food that they provide you with and live in poverty and survive however you can. And that's what the girl Allison decides to do. She's an orphan. Her parents were under the system, but they were killed, or they died. You'll see. And she's living with this ragtag group of humans who struggle day by day for survival and to get food. So they usually hunt, or they thieve, or they scavenge. And to do that, they have to go beyond the outer wall. And so one day, Allison gets really desperate, and she goes out, and she gets killed by a rabid human creature thing, and she gets saved by a vampire who comes up to her and offers to make her a vampire in exchange, for her to live again. And she's so afraid of dying that even though she hates them, she accepts, and she becomes one, and it gets really kick-ass from there. She learns how to be a vampire, and she has all these like strengths, and we get to deal with as readers, like her becoming a vampire and seeing it from her perspective and all that. And it's really so much more interesting than most vampire books where it's just a human as our main character. But yeah, and there's this whole mystery surrounding the disease of rabidism, anyway, and how that started. It's called the red lung disease, and how that started and how it spread. And now it's within vampires, and it's very rare that vampires can turn. They can't create any more vampires because they just create a rabid, unless you're a master vampire, which is what this guy is, and he creates, when he creates Allison, he's really the only type of vampire left that can create others. And, yeah, so Allison's really powerful because of that, and it's really cool. Anyway, circumstances happen, and she gets separated from her creator, Kanan, and she has to flee the city. And while she's out there, she runs into this group of humans who are traveling in search of this place called Eden, which is a rumored city where there are no vampires, and it's a floating island, and it's just humans, and they are working on a cure there. So she ends up traveling with them for a while because she has nowhere else to go, and she ends up it's really hard for her because she has to hide who she is, and they're led by some crazy religious nut called Jebediah Cross, and his son, who is Zeke Cross, sorry, I forget their names, and his son Zeke, and obviously her and Zeke, but yeah, that was really creepy, sorry guys. But yeah, and you know what's weird, this book for me, usually the romance is my favorite part of these books, but like for her Iron Face series, it was all about Prince Ash, like hello Ash, but for this one it was about the actual girl, because she was so freaking badass. Like she carried a freaking katana on her back, and best part, she's Asian. But yeah, so like that was really weird that she was Asian because you never read about Asians in books. But yeah, she was really freaking awesome, and it was just really cool to hear her story and how the freaking like the world was really interesting. And I'm just about to start the second book in the series called The Eternity Cure, and then the third book doesn't come out till next year. So fingers crossed that I actually remember the series. But anyway, you should definitely go read The Immortal Rules because it was really good. And oh my god, like I'm so excited just to read this book right now. I'm going to bed and I'm not going to go to bed till like 3 now because I'm going to read it. But yeah, seriously, go check those books out because they're awesome. And yeah, sorry to give you this really long rant about books, but no one's really listening to this anyway, so I can talk as long as I want. Okay, that was another creepy move. I'm sorry. I'm going to bed now. Bye.